Welcome to LoyalTV. We are in Muskogee, Oklahoma to learn about the sordid past of the legendary lawman, Wyatt Earp.
Wyatt Earp, right after his death in 1929, has been seen as a mythical figure, being this larger-than-life lawman who could do no wrong, and he was just perfect in every respect. And as we know about most people, there's many different facets to their personality.
Well, the good man is hard to find.
And when I came across the incident involving Wyatt Earp, I was fascinated because I kind of questioned whether or not it was actually the Wyatt Earp. But as I dug deeper in federal court records, it became pretty clear that it was our Wyatt Earp. In 1871, he was in Indian Territory, modern-day Oklahoma, working for a survey crew. Very noble profession, laying out the land for eventual settlement. But he ended up getting in some hot water around the Muskogee area in late March of 1871 when Wyatt Earp, Edward Kennedy, and John Schoen stole 2 horses from some residents of the Muskogee area. John Schoen supposedly was so intoxicated that Wyatt Earp and Edward Kennedy put John Schoen on one of the stolen horses, had him lead the other stolen horse, and headed north. In the meantime, Wyatt Earp and Edward Kennedy took John Schoen's wife, Anna, and they loaded themselves up into a wagon, and they followed slowly behind John Schoen. Shortly after, though, the victim of the crime caught up with the perpetrators, and by this time, though, Wyatt had met up with John Schoen. They switched out the horses, and Wyatt took off in the wagon, kept going north. The victim ended up taking the 2 horses that Edward Kennedy and John Schoen had on them, even though they were not his horses. Everybody thought everything was fine. Well, the victim ended up going to Van Buren, Arkansas, which was the seat of the federal court for the Western District of Arkansas that had jurisdiction over that part of Indian Territory at the time, and filed larceny charges against the 3 men. Fast forward about 2 weeks, there's a deputy U.S. Marshal named J.G. Owens who makes the arrest of Wyatt Earp, Edward Kennedy, and John Schoen. Roughly 30 days after they're arrested and put in the Van Buren jail, Wyatt Earp and John Schoen made their escape. What's ironic is Edward Kennedy comes back and ends up being acquitted. I think Wyatt Earp, he's like any other character from our history, and particularly the frontier period. We don't see things the way that our ancestors and our forebears saw things, and we really can't. We're left 150 years later with all these questions, and we can just give our best guess. But there was a great line in a John Wayne movie called The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. And at the end, there's newspapermen sitting around listening to this story, and they all thought they knew how it happened, and they knew the legend and the myth. But at the end, the newspaperman shakes his head, and one guy says to the other, he says, "So you're not going to publish that?" And he said, "No." He said, "Well, why not?" He said, "Because when the legend becomes fact, print the legend."
Don't forget to return next week to learn more about our fascinating Oklahoma communities here on LoyalTV.